Hello students, today we will topic light. See, can you see your shoes in a dark room? No. Why? Because there is no light in a dark room. Light is a form of energy that helps us to see objects. We see the object when light falls on that objects. The sources of light. Which are the sources of light? Sun, candle, lamp, these are the sources of light. There are two sources of light, the natural source of light and artificial sources of light. The natural source. Which are the natural sources of light? Sun. Sun is an example of natural sources of light. Sun, stars and fireflies, these are the natural sources of light. And artificial sources of light, for example, candle, LED bulb, lamp, these are the artificial sources of light. And artificial sources of light is also called man-made sources of light. Means these sources made by man. That's why they are called the man-made sources of light or artificial sources of light. Okay. See, in this picture, here is a sources of light are given. Sun, lamp, candle, these are the sources of light. These things gives us light. This object gives us light. Okay. See, the sources of light can be natural or artificial. You know, everyone know the moon. Moon is a natural source of light. The artificial source of light. Yeah, moon gives us light. No, moon is not gives us light. The moon has no light of its own. It takes because it shines because it reflects the light of the sun from the moon. Astronauts see the earth as a big shining ball as it reflects sunlight. Okay. See, some are the luminous object and some are the non-luminous objects. The luminous objects means what? The objects that gives us their own light. The object produce their own light. They are called the luminous object. The examples of luminous objects are, see here, sun. Sun gives us light. Okay. Lamp also gives us light. Candle also gives us light. LED bulb, lantern, these things gives us light. These things are called the luminous objects. Means जो चीजें हमें light देती हैं उनको बोलते हैं luminous objects. What is the definition of luminous object? I already told you. Object that produce their own light are called luminous object. Sun, candle, bulb, these are the examples of a luminous object. Now the non-luminous object. Objects that do not produce their own light and they are called the non-luminous object. Which objects do not produce their own light? For example, pencil. Pencil is an example of a non-luminous object. See here more examples of non-luminous objects. Here, air produces its own light? No. There is a source of light? No. Chair is a non-luminous object. Then apple is also non-luminous object. Hat is also non-luminous object. School bag is a non-luminous object. And books are also non-luminous object. There is book. Book is not produce its own light. Okay. Understood? What is the definition of luminous object? The object that produce their own light, they are called the luminous object. And non-luminous object. Objects do not produce their own light. They are called the non-luminous objects. Okay. Now the next point. Now move towards our next point. The properties of light. The properties of light. Light travel in a straight line. See here is a torch. Okay. And torch produce the light. Light travel in a straight line without bending. The light is a travel in a straight line. Okay. This is the first property of a light. Second property, light bounce back from non-luminous object. The light bounce back from the non-luminous objects. This is called the reflection of light. Okay. This is second property of light. Now see the third property of a light. Refraction of light light bends at a point when passes from one medium to the another medium. For example, this is a prism. Prism is a one medium. Okay. Now here is a light. What is the refraction of light? Light bends at a point when passes from one medium to the another medium. The fourth property, light made up of 7 colors. Okay, this is the prism and here is a light. Light falls on this prism and the 7 colors form. Everyone know the rainbow. Okay. See, we see a rainbow in the sky because of the splitting of white light by the water droplets. The water droplets are present in the air and the white light splitting. Okay, and by the water droplets, and the 7 colors are formed in the sky. This is the fourth property, light made up of 7 colors. The next point. There are 3 types of object. The first type is a transparent object, second one is a translucent object, and then third one is a opaque object. Transparent. Now see the first one, transparent objects. Transparent object की definition है objects that allow light to pass through them completely are known as a transparent object. The light is completely passed through the transparent object. Example है transparent object के example है clear water, air, then glass. These are the examples of a transparent objects, but clear glass. See the glass, then pure water, air, cellophane paper. These are the examples of a transparent objects. See, we can see clearly through these objects, through these transparent objects. Now the second one is a translucent object. Everyone know the translucent object. Objects that allow light to pass through them partially, not completely, partially, and they are called the translucent object. Translucent object में से light क्या होती है? Partially pass होती है. Objects that allow to pass through objects that allow light to pass through them partially, and they are known as a translucent object. Example है butter paper. Butter paper is the example of a translucent object. Then second example, frosted glass. Frosted glass is example of a translucent object, and ground glass. These are the examples of a translucent objects. Light not completely pass through this object. Light is a partially pass through these objects, and these objects are called the translucent objects. This is second one. This is a translucent object, frosted glass. Example is given here, frosted glass. Third one is a opaque object. Opaque object. For example, opaque object is an object that do not allow light to pass through them at all, and they are called the opaque objects. See the examples say wood, metal, leather, and thick plastic bag. These are the example of a opaque objects. Now see in the picture, here is a wooden board. Wooden board is an opaque object. See, this is a wooden board. The hand is not completely visible or partially visible through this wooden board. Okay, means it is a opaque thing. For example, doors, say wooden doors, wooden windows. These are the example of a opaque objects. See now that after the uses of a transparent, translucent, and opaque objects. What is the use of these objects? Doors and windows, so that sunlight can enter in the rooms or in the house. The transparent objects, doors and transparent doors or windows है तो sunlight come enter clearly, come enter in the house. That's why some people are placing the transparent doors and windows in their houses. Okay. The second one example is a second use is a frosted glass. Frosted, where we place the frosted glass in the bathrooms and in the toilets. Okay. The transparent translucent things. Frosted glass is a translucent object, and What is the use of this translucent object? We place the translucent or frosted glass in a bathrooms or toilets. Why we place there? It allows some amount of light in the bathrooms and toilets, but things inside the bathrooms are not clearly seen. That's why the people are placing the frosted glass in the bathrooms and in the toilets. Now the third one is a storing of medicines. Okay, some medicines are stored in a opaque glass bottles so that they are not affected by a light. That's why the people are storing the some medicines in the opaque things, in the opaque bottles. Okay, because sunlight not come affected by that medicines. Okay, now the next one is a shadow. Is the definition of shadow? When an object blocks the path of light, a dark patch is formed behind the object that is called the shadow. It's a dark patch. Seen in the picture here is a dark patch is formed on the ground. This is a dark black patch and it is called the shadow. Okay, transparent. Sorry. When an object blocks the path of light, a dark patch is formed behind the object that is called the shadow. Here is a dark patch that is called the shadow. Okay. Transparent object does not form a shadow. ट्रांसपेरेंट ऑब्जेक्ट जो होते हैं वो शैडो फॉर्म नहीं होते बिकॉज उसमें से लाइट पास होता है. एंड ट्रांसलूसेंट ऑब्जेक्ट्स फॉर्म अ लाइट शैडो बिकॉज द सम अमाउंट ऑफ लाइट पास थ्रू द ट्रांसलूसेंट ऑब्जेक्ट. And opaque object forms a dark shadow. Okay, the opaque things होते हैं उससे क्या होता है dark shadow form होती है. Now the next one, size of a shadow. Everyone in the morning and evening the shadow is a longer and at afternoon the shadow is a short. Size of a shadow changes when the position of a sun changes. How the shadow changes? Because of the position of a sun changes and the shadow is also changed. In the morning, see in the morning shadow is a long and in afternoon the shadow is a short and in the evening में भी क्या होता है shadow is a long. Size of our shadow changes when the position of sun changes. Sometimes it is longer and other times it is shorter than us. The length of a shadow is long in the morning and the length of a shadow is also long in the evening, but in the afternoon the shadow is short. The conditions for the formation of a shadow. Source of light. Which are the conditions? The formation of a shadow. A source of light. Is the source of light? Source of light is far away from us. A source of light is near to us. It's depend on the source of light. Then next one, an opaque object to block the path of light. Opaque screen on which the shadow can form. These are the conditions for formation of a shadow. Here is one activity given. You have to do this activity in an open field in the dark or in the dark room. Okay.